Hey guys, Zen here, and this, PUNKMASTER, the highest rank in FragPunk, and to achieve it, you'll need to master all the techniques and intricate strategy that this game offers, and if there's one thing that's not abundantly obvious, is that on the surface, FragPunk presents as an over-the-top, bright, and accessible shooter, but the underbelly is a fundamentally strategic and endlessly deep tactical experience that they've somehow made approachable to just about anyone. And guys, that's what this video is. In this video, we're getting into ranked. I'll show you what rank I placed in after my placement matches, and how it feels to play competitively and tactically in this game. And the other part is a deep dive on what makes FragPunk the game it is, how Season 2 has improved just about every aspect, and why you should ultimately get involved. But first up, an obnoxiously satisfying montage of that oh-so-sweet ranked grind, and out of these ranks, where I ended up. Let's get into this.
Enemies.
So then, Silver 1. How did we get here? Well, first up, I'll say that with the release of Season 2, they introduced Hurricane, and out of all the Lancers currently in the game, I really gravitated to him because his presence is felt so prominently, and he's able to affect major parts of the map from just about anywhere. It really starts with the Cyclone, just a massive smoke screen that blocks off sightlines and forces enemies to push into an uncomfortable situation. And I got used to this 1-2 combo of throwing out a Cyclone and firing off a flashbang, because if you didn't know, the flashbang goes both ways. So if you're not careful, Hurricane can blind himself or his teammates, but if any obstruction is between you and the nade, you're good. And the Cyclone is like the biggest obstruction in the game. And so yeah, this is a potent two-piece combo to lead with. And then if you're ever in trouble, I always ducked off in cover and buffed him up with his final ability, which gives you a little more damage output and speed. And so it's good for an escape. I see Hurricane as a Lancer that just about anyone can pick up and easily understand. He isn't a super deep character, and that's good, but he is incredibly effective on the field. And so to start off, I think Hurricane is the perfect starter pick. On the other side of that coin is a character that I think has tons of depth, and as you begin to peel away those layers, there's just so much he's capable of, and that's Chum. For zoning and really planting your feet in the ground and holding a position, Chum is my pick, and that's because he's so tough to get super close to unharmed, and everything revolves around Chomper. Chomper is Chum's pet fish, dog, bomb thing? I don't know. He's just every bit of a tool to keep enemies away, and also give you the intel of their whereabouts. If you send him out raw, he'll track down nearby enemies and bite at them. Now, it doesn't do massive damage, but they will shoot at him instead of you and open up an opportunity. If you feed him a bomb, if they get close, he'll seek them out and kamikaze explode, and this does do tons of damage, and I've secured a handful of kills this way. Alternatively, you can have him eat smoke and guide him where you want him to go, and as he moves, smoke will trail. My secret is to walk behind him and use the smoke to obviously cloak Chum's movements and reposition. I found that as I began to improve, Chum was a character I leaned into and learned more about, and there's still lots to uncover about him, but in the spirit of not dragging on, I want to talk about this guy. Broker, my most recent pick, and the last Lancer we'll discuss before moving on, but he's the guy with the big gun. I found that if I wanted a no-frills DPS damage dealer, this was my go-to. A minefield with cherry bombs, smoke grenades, and a big shoulder-mounted launcher. That's it. Nothing too fancy, and it's kind of ironic that Broker is somewhat of a fancy, over-the-top Lancer because his kit is just super straightforward. The moment you boot into FragPunk, you have him day one, and just because he's there at the start doesn't mean he's not every bit as good as the more recent additions, but what really drew me in was his familiarity. It's just easy to pick up the game, choose Broker, and instantly get it. If you want a trap, well, Broker's cherry bombs zone out an area and do damage to anyone that passes through them. He throws out a smoke screen in essentially a straight line for great coverage, and when things get a little hairy, you take out the launcher and do massive explosive damage in an area. Now, obviously, I'm still learning just how deep this rabbit hole goes and what every Lancer is capable of, but it's just refreshing to have a few characters that are just pick up, play, and understand. And so guys, as for my trusted few for ranked, these were the mains. I mean, I surveyed the field, but I found myself returning to these guys time and time again, and as I work towards that coveted PUNKMASTER rank, Hurricane, Broker, and Chum will be a core element here. Then there's maps, and I'll just say, It's Zomna, the newest one for Season 2, is my favorite. The layout and the aesthetic, the choke points, it's just a map I look forward to playing on, and for a super competitive experience, it works. Now, every map in FragPunk typically has something special or a unique gameplay mechanic, and for It's Zomna, I think the zip lines in particular are what completes it. They make for incredibly quick flank routes, and absolutely need to be patrolled. And one thing I noticed happened a lot in ranked that didn't so much in standard were that those rotation points were riddled with traps, and so it became more risky taking those routes or going for that flank. Now, another one of my favorites was Market. Out of all the maps, I see this one as the more TDM heavy map, where the streets are super tight, there's lots of hallways and longer sight lines for snipers, and you can cross the map pretty quickly. It's just more fast paced by comparison. And yeah, both of these maps really came alive depending on the shard cards at play, and in ranked, there is a different pool of cards that are activated over pretty much every other playlist, and it's absolutely key. Guys, the shard cards are what make FragPunk so unique, and again, I'll admit, at first, I wasn't sold, and some of them are absolutely wild, but these cards change what becomes mundane and pulls you out of the norm essentially every round, and it's here you'll find just some of the most depth you'll ever find in a shooter. One card I came across made it rain across the entire map, and as long as you were in the rain, you got a 25 HP shield tacked onto your health bar. Now, on a map like Market, that might only be like 50% of the time, where on It's Zomna, most of the map is uncovered, and so most players will have shields. One of my favorite new cards in Season 2 is Acceleration, where the more you sprint, the faster you go. And so at the start of the match, you can kind of sprint around the gates to build it up, and once the gates drop, you can sprint out crazy fast and get to an enemy or an objective super quick. It's variety, it's unpredictability, and in a competitive mode like ranked, it's a skill to learn to adapt to what's at play each round and still find a way to win. There's tons of these cards, it's in the hundreds, and more are always being added, and so it kind of keeps you on your toes, and you never know what you can expect. And so guys, PUNKMASTER, the most elite rank FragPunk has for you to claim, and ever since I started in this playlist, I just want to see more and climb higher. Maybe one day we'll get it. And so yeah, there's more to come, but I guess for this video, I really wanted to touch on the depth of the game, and how that depth can be applied to even a competitive angle, and I think here in Season 2, they've really beefed up the offering, doing things like adding Hurricane and It's Zomna, both of which are extremely impactful, and I think you'll really enjoy the experience. On a final note, in a recent patch, they actually cut the ranked level requirement in half, and so now you can jump in even earlier at level 15 and get involved for yourself. And guys, remember to click the link below to go download FragPunk 100% for free today, and another thanks to them for sponsoring our video. Thanks for watching. Hey, I'm out.